exclusive access to the future stars of the NFL as they take the stage live from Las Vegas.
There is so much buzz and excitement here with the first pick.
The 2022 NFL Draft, presented by Verizon, April 28th through 30th on NFL Network, ABC, ESPN, and ESPN Deportes.
NBA Wednesday on ESPN Radio. Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns head to San Francisco to face Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors.
Booker, you bet!
Coverage begins at 9:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. Presented by Indeed.
Love ESPN Radio, but not all the ad breaks? Then we've got news for you. ESPN Radio is now available commercial-free on TuneIn Premium. That's right. You can listen to all your favorite ESPN radio shows and much more without the ads. Just download the TuneIn app to get
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
All right, happy Wednesday. Welcome in. I'm Justin Kinner hanging out with you here. Well, like I just said, on a Wednesday. It is the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, minus Kev Nash today, but the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash is presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell your home, give Brad Mays a call today, 937-572-7425. We welcome everybody in. Again, a shortened show today. We'll be handing it off to the Reds on Radio Network coming up here at 3:50. Of course, you'll be able to catch the Cincinnati Reds and the Oakland Athletics coming up at 4:05. Coverage beginning at 3:50. So that's why we have a shorter show here today, which, like I always say, it's a win for you. Less of me is more for you. And we'll have Reds baseball coming up. The Reds finally announced something today that made me optimistic and excited about this upcoming season. The bottom line is we could sit here and we could bitch and moan and complain and be miserable people and focus on the, oh man, I can't believe they traded Castellanos, or they didn't extend Castellanos or keep him. They traded away Jesse Winker, no more Suarez. They got rid of Sonny Gray, and we're rebuilding. The bottom line is we're rebuilding. Nothing you can do about it. No matter how many tweets, no matter how angry you are, no matter how angry you frame your tweets or social media posts or write a strongly worded letter to the Castellinis, nothing you say will change where we are at heading into this upcoming season. The bottom line is yes, we are fans of teams who win. We want our teams to win. And when they lose, we say how miserable it is, and we know it's miserable, but we always seem to find the gem within the gem, if you will. We always seem to find something that's going to get us through. So that's what our job is over the next, summer? Is we got to find things that we could at least use as mental benchmarks for us to say, okay, I'm at least looking for this to feel good about when it comes to Reds baseball. And what I'm talking about is guys like Hunter Green, guys like Nick Lodolo, guys like that Jonathan India. How does he respond after winning Rookie of the Year last year? Does he have that sophomore slump? Tyler Stevenson played a big role in the success last season of the Reds, or whatever you want to chalk success up to when you look at the Reds season. But Tyler Stevenson showed a lot of promise last year in the platoon system he was in, of course, with Tucker Barnhart. Now he is the main guy. He is the guy behind the plate for the Reds and this pitching staff this season. But the Reds announced that Hunter Green, after being drafted in the 2007 after being the Reds' top draft choice in 2017 and one of the top prospects in all of Major League Baseball, he will finally make his debut for the Reds. Of course, it's been an injury-riddled journey throughout the minors. Of course, for him, we got to see him here in Dayton with the Dragons for a cup of coffee. And man, the guy could throw gas, man. Like he throws extremely hard, which can be extremely worrisome. But I guess if I'm going to be optimistic about that, he's already had Tommy John. He's already knocked out that type of surgery that you look at and you're like, you got to worry about that with any pitcher. Any kind of pitcher, whether it's a breaking ball, whether he's a high velocity thrower, whatever it is, you have to worry about that with all pitchers. So I'm not going to focus on what could happen. The bottom line is he's making his debut with the Cincinnati Reds in the rotation April 10th against the Braves. It's a Sunday. It's a mid-afternoon game, and we'll get a chance to see him and see what he's capable of. I don't know what the status of Nick Lodolo is at this time. He is not on the 40-man as we currently sit here right now. Could they call him up again? I think in the month of April, maybe May as well. I'm not sure. They get extended rosters, as far as that's concerned. So we'll see what happens as far as Nick Lodolo. But for me, the benchmarks that I'm looking at, I know they're not going to make the playoffs. Maybe they do. I mean, the wild card, the expanded playoffs, maybe they get hot. I don't know. But Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green, I'm circling those two. I tweeted out earlier today that if you really think big picture, okay, big picture, who are the Cincinnati Reds? This rebuild is off to a way better start than the previous rebuild. The prospects are a lot further along. When the Reds blew everything up back in the early 2010s, I guess not really 2010s, I guess it would have been that 15 or 16 when they officially hit the blow up button, if you will. Think about where we were within that process. I mean, every prospect that they got back, they weren't even close to being ready to be called up yet. That's why I don't know if it's fair to necessarily call this a rebuild if it's just more of a reset. Maybe it's not fair to say that the Reds are rebuilding. I think that the Reds just reset. Because if you think back to when they rebuilt the last time, they had to literally start from scratch in regards to they had to rebuild the farm system and have guys capable of playing on opening day to be able to fill out 162 games a season. That's not the case. We know what you get with Joey Votto. You know what you get with Jonathan India now. You know what you get with Tyler Stevenson. Obviously, Nick Senzel. Obviously, there's, Mike Moustakas. Of course, you have a veteran presence there if he could stay healthy. Is it going to be smooth? No. But a lot of the young players that were waiting to prove if they could play have kind of proven that already. We know what Nick Senzel can do. Tyler Stevenson, Jonathan India, right? So now we're starting off this rebuild, if you will. I call it a reset with Nick Lodolo, with Hunter Green, with these guys ready to go. Obviously, no Luis Castillo, who's already established himself in the previous rebuild, but he will be the team's ace moving forward. I think all the trade rumors about what they're going to do with Luis Castillo, I guess I'm happy that if there was going to be a casualty of an up-and-coming player that the Reds built, whether it was Luis Castillo or Jesse Winker, I can get behind a front office that says we have to put more value into our pitching than our hitters. It's easier to go get a guy that has pop in the bat. It's easier to go find a guy that can put the bat on the ball. When the Reds have wanted to be aggressive, they've proven they could do that. When they wanted Mike Moustakas, they went and got him. Has it worked out? No. I still applaud the fact that they went and got him. How about, Castellanos? We're pissed off that they didn't keep him, but keep in mind, the Reds went out and got him originally, and look how well that worked out. The Reds have proven that they're confident that they can go out and get guys with pop in their bat, put the ball in play, and be game changers. What the Reds have not been able to prove is that they can go out and get pitching that they're willing to pay. We'll get to that process later whenever it comes time to paying Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo when that time comes. But this is young talent. So the Reds are saying, you know what? We can't pay Jesse Winker right now. Let's move on from him. Let's not extend Nick Castellanos. Let's see what pop in our lineup we have with our young players. Let's see what Tyler Stevenson can do over 162 games as the main catcher. Let's see what guys like Jonathan India could do in year 2. And let's see what guys, obviously, like Nick Senzel could do if we can finally get that fully healthy season from him. So I think that the Reds are trying to figure out what they have. Now we're going to get a very good glimpse as far as what Aquino can do with consistent at-bats if he's a part of the main rotation out in the outfield. So the Reds are trying to say, before we hit a complete reset or a rebuild here, let's see what we have first. What these guys are semi-capable of, but you don't really know what you have. Is Tyler Stevenson 162 game type of catcher? And what I mean by that, he will not catch all 162 games. But what I mean is he capable of being a mainstay in this lineup throughout a 162 game season? Obviously, he will, DH is being a huge role with the Reds right now with the National League. They can use him there on off days, of course. How versatile can he be? It's just a matter of the wear and tear of these guys over a 162 game season when they are the guy. Jonathan India is the guy. Tyler Stevenson now is the guy. Moustakas, can he stay healthy? Nick Senzel, can he stay healthy? Shogo, it sounds like people have kind of checked out on that as far as that's concerned, and I understand, and I completely understand that. But it's not the sexiest lineup. But this is one of those seasons where the Reds are like, we got to just see what we have. What do we have? Let's see what we have, and we'll go from there. And I think that that's what this season consists of. But think about it this way. Big picture, as I tweeted out earlier today, you have Luis Castillo as the ace, as the face of the rotation moving forward, right? So you have your ace. Now, if Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green pan out, you might have 2 aces, by the way, with Nick Lodolo or with Hunter Green and Luis Castillo, maybe 3. If Nick Lodolo, can you imagine a 3-headed monster? And again, we don't know who Hunter Green's going to be, but we know who he's supposed to be. if the Reds did their job throughout the developmental process, we know who he's supposed to be. Same thing with Nick Lodolo. I have my doubts because it is the Reds, and they haven't really proven that they can develop talent at a high level, especially pitchers. I mean, they haven't really done a good job with pitchers at all. The guys that have saved the day for the Reds have been guys that they've brought in from the outside. I mean, it's taken to Trevor Bauer. It's taken to Sonny Gray. Luis Castillo is kind of theirs, but he came over. Maybe that's one that they could take credit for, but the Reds aren't very good at developing pitching at a high level consistently to where I could feel good about it. So I got to give them the benefit of the doubt here for my peace of mind. Imagine a rotation headlined by Luis Castillo, who will get paid, Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green. And I love Tyler Mahle. TJ Antone, I don't know what the future is as far as whether he's going to be coming out of the bullpen or a rotation guy. They've always been, conversations, rumors, if you will, about how to use him. But I love TJ Antone. And I think when he gets healthy and gets back and they find a role for him, whether it's in the bullpen or the rotation, I think the Reds are pretty good at pitching moving forward. And think about the pitching prospects they got back from the Mariners in that Winker deal. I think they could have got better. There had to have been better deals out there. I'm not a big fan of it, but the bottom line is they got some very young pitching prospects in return. Got to feel pretty good about that as far as I'm concerned, because I think that for the first time in a while, the Reds have pitching in the pipeline that we could feel good about. And that's going to be the big question moving forward. I think what the Reds are saying is let's load up our pipeline with pitching. Let's have a young pitching staff that we don't have a lot of money invested into so that we can complement that young pitching with proven hitters. But before they can get to spending money in free agency, they need to go out and get this position, get that. Well, you're not going to go spend money on a big catcher when you have Tyler Stevenson. You're not going to go out and get a position player that you already know what Jonathan India is capable of. Maybe you need an outfielder, but what if Nick Senzel all of a sudden can stay healthy? What if Aquino breaks out again? What if, there's a lot of what ifs. I think it's lazy of the Reds. I'm not letting him off the hook in that regards, but we have to find a way as fans to remain as positive as possible. I'm a negative person, but I have to find a way to maintain some kind of positivity when it comes to this Reds team, because when the Reds announced today that Hunter Green was going to be a part of the rotation right off the bat, I'm jacked about that. I can't wait. I'm a big Tyler Mahle fan, by the way. He'll never be the ace of a staff, but man, he has some good stuff, and he really showed that he took that big step last year. He was pitching really good down the stretch. I'm excited to see what he could do throughout this season, taking another step forward. I mean, he could have another breakout year that exceeds what he did last year. And now you're talking about the expectations being Luis Castillo, Tyler Mahle, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo, and Vladimir Gutierrez, by the way, big fan of his as well. So, all right, I'm done with that. But all I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to do a sell job on you, because I've been real negative on the Reds this week, but I had to get that negativity out of my system. And once I got that negativity out of my system, I had to look at this schedule and say, you know what? Rather than look at this schedule and just be negative a day in and day out, I have to find some benchmarks that I could circle and say, okay, I could at least look forward to Hunter Green on this day, Tyler Mahle on this day. Can't wait to see what Jonathan India does. Tyler Stevenson, let's go. How long into the season can we get before we have to say, goodbye to Nick Senzel before he goes on the injured list? Now that sounds negative, but man, imagine if he can consistently stay healthy. I feel good. And Joey Votto, let's not forget, although I've been beating up on him this week, that's just because I'm being critical of his leadership skills. But what I can't be critical of is what he could do with the bat in his hand, especially after he was able to turn things around last season. So I do feel good about that as far as that's concerned. If you're just tuning in, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty, coming at you live on Dayton's ESPN radio station and home of the Cincinnati Reds, 1410 Wing AM. I'm only with you till about 3:45 today, as we'll hand it off to Reds baseball spring training action. Reds and A's coming up 4:05 the first pitch. Again, 3:50 coverage begins, so I'm only with you for a little bit longer, which I'm not going to lie. Normally, I hate shorter shows. I love being on the air with you guys every day, but it's beautiful outside. I got a tea time next hour. I can't wait to get the hell out of here, but we still have a lot to cover here in the next few moments. I'll open up the phone lines. I'm by myself today, but sure, what the hell? I'll hang out with you guys. We'll take some of your calls. 518-1410, 518-1410. Give me a call. Your thoughts on this Reds team. Let's try to cut back on the negativity for a little bit. Let's try to talk about what are you feeling good about. I think we've all acknowledged, yeah, it sucks. No Winker, no Castellanos. They got rid of Suarez. They got rid of Sonny Gray. Super. We're not looking at this team as a playoff team, which really stinks. But let's look at this team for what they do have. And what they do have is a lot of talent, that sets up success for the future. I don't want to hear, well, then the front office will trade him away. They'll cut him. They'll get rid of him. Possibly, but I'm not going to live that way right now, at least. I'll wait till tomorrow when whatever mood I feel like waking up in, right? Let's be positive today. 518-1410, Reds fans. I'll talk to you on the other side.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Presented by Brad Mays with Home Experts Realty. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly cloudy and very windy, a high near 80. Tonight's going to be cloudy and windy with showers and possibly a thunderstorm, a low near 50. And tomorrow's going to be cloudy and windy with rain, a high near 56. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
In times of fear, World Vision is there for the most vulnerable. For the last 70 years, we've been standing with kids and families through natural disasters, war, and disease, delivering life-saving aid and helping rebuild lives. And with every act of courage, faith, and love, we do more than just stop the spread of fear. We replace it with hope. Learn more at worldvision.org.
Carrie, can you make sure Ada's cleaned up?
Restaurant Week has Sanjay's tables jam-packed.
Can somebody please refill the...
He needs more servers to keep these new customers coming back.
Let's keep these tables turning as fast as possible, okay? Gonna need to hustle.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
We are racing at Miami Valley Gaming and Raceway. Catch the excitement Sunday afternoon. Post time 4:05 p.m. Be there this Sunday for your chance to win one of 5 big screen televisions, Roku sticks with subscriptions to Racetrack Television Network, and gift cards to the Sin City Steakhouse and Trifecta restaurants. That's this Sunday afternoon at Miami Valley Gaming and Raceway. Post time 4:05 p.m. Horses, racing, and winners at Miami Valley Gaming and Raceway.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can save just by being you. DriveWise in the Allstate mobile app gives you personalized driving feedback, and by adding it to your policy, you can save for driving safe just by being yourself. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Circle up, team. We've got status.
Evelyn's marketing consultancy client roster is skyrocketing.
Okay, so this week is a biggie. We've got the pitch and 3 client meetings.
She needs another analyst before her team's free time plummets.
Who's running the competitive analysis on fruit snacks?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street are huge supporters of the Dayton Flyers. Whether you're one of the 13,000 fans cheering on the Flyers at UD Arena or one of the hundreds of fans packed inside Tim's on game day, there is only 2 places that you can feel the passion of the Flyer faithful more than anywhere else. Timothy's Bar and Grill is also a sponsor of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash in the afternoons and the Talking Out Loud Hour on Thursday nights with Sully. Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street. Go Flyers.
Update your home with great flooring from Menards. With hundreds of flooring options and top brands like Tarkett, you'll find the perfect flooring to give your home a fresh, new look. Laminate flooring is durable and scratch-resistant. Sheet vinyl and vinyl plank are waterproof and easy to install. Get 11% off everything, including Tarkett flooring, now at Menards. Good through April 2nd. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Welcome back to the quickest podcast ever, brought to you by Kohl's.
Today's topic, Easter savings.
I can't wait to celebrate with all my peeps.
Speaking of, I just got 50% off festive decor, a Ninja blender for just $99.99, and saved on some arts and crafts the kids are gonna love.
Okay, those are some excellent deals.
Right? On top of that, I got an extra 20% off Kohl's Cash and free store pickup.
Excuse me while I hop onto Kohl's.com.
Select styles, 20% off ends April 3rd. Toys, coupons do not apply. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Research shows people remember radio ads that remind them of the past. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's an ad that'll really take you back.
Back in my day, I heard a voice from the radio say, Liberty Mutual customizes my home insurance so I only pay for what I need. I'm getting on in years now, but heavens to Betsy, there are some things an old fella like me just never forgets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
The number one pick is in. Wendy's Breakfast, the official breakfast of March Madness, featuring a stacked starting lineup, breakfast Baconator, or honey butter chicken biscuit, and simply orange juice.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
And we are back. I'm Justin Kenner, hanging out with you here on a Wednesday. Much shorter show today. In fact, I'm only with you for the next 30 minutes. We'll hand you off to Reds baseball coming up. Spring training action. The Reds and the A's coming up 4:05 the first pitch, 3:50 opening day a week from tomorrow. So there is that. I'm looking forward to that. Maybe not an exact opening day. It's the opening day of the season. Of course, the Reds will open up at home on the 12th as they welcome in the Guardians for a 2-game little mini series. But they will open up the season on the road at Atlanta, and that'll be a week from tomorrow, 7:20. Actually, that's at 8 o'clock first pitch now. That game got moved back first pitch time because ESPN2 will be carrying that game next week. So, like I said, trying to remain positive about this upcoming season. Shout out to Randy Bertholf. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. But Randy says, wholeheartedly agree. I am still positive on the Reds and real excited to attend their game against the Guardians on the 14th. Speaking of that, we'll make sure that we have some tickets for folks for the Guardians coming up next week as well. I'll tell you how you can win those coming up on tomorrow's show. Big show lined up for you guys tomorrow as well. Bree Hall plays for South Carolina from Wayne, of course, played at Wayne in high school, of course, now playing for South Carolina. Final Four coming up on Friday for college women's basketball. But one of our own here locally is playing in the Final Four as a freshman. So how exciting is that? I'm excited for Bree. We're going to have her on the show tomorrow. And then Tamika Williams-Jeter, the new head coach of the Dayton Flyers, will have her on tomorrow's show as well. So 2 big guests for tomorrow that I'm excited to catch up with. We're going to have them on today. Just not enough time with the shortened show due to Reds baseball, but we have the full 3 hours to get them all in tomorrow. We'll also chat with Nick Kirby from Red Leg Nation. We'll chat with him about some of the top prospects in the Reds pipeline, and he'll get you set, of course, for all the top storylines heading into the 2022 Reds season. Ann Anderson, shout out to Ann. I hope you're doing well. She says that she will always be a baseball fan first and foremost. Give me Dragons baseball any day. It is so much fun watching top prospects mature and thrive in Dayton. That ballpark is amazing. The organization could give lessons to the big league club. So there you go. And always appreciate your thoughts throughout the show. Thank you again. I hope you are doing well. But 518-1410, that's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. So in a joking tone, I tweeted this out earlier. And of course, people have to take everything so serious and get so upset about everything. Aaron Goldhammer from Cleveland, with ESPN Cleveland, tweeted out earlier, they had Peter King on their show. And Aaron Goldhammer said after talking with Peter King, and again, Peter King, football analyst, NBC Sports, I'm assuming you guys know who Peter King is, but Peter King would not predict the length of a suspension when asked about it on Aaron Goldhammer's show on ESPN in Cleveland. But he did acknowledge that there is a slight possibility that Deshaun Watson may not serve a suspension at all this coming up season, mainly because the history of basically just recent history of how the NFL handles these types of suspensions. They usually have to wait for all of the cases to be completed. Let's be honest. We're talking about 22 civil cases. I'm not making light of those cases. I'm not trying to be funny here, but there's no way in hell that 22 civil cases will wrap up before the start of the 2022 season. So Peter King would not even throw a number out for how many games he thinks that Deshaun Watson will be suspended for on Aaron Goldhammer's show on ESPN in Cleveland, because he doesn't believe, he still thinks that there's a chance that a suspension may not even actually happen until the next season, mainly because, as we just discussed, that the league usually has to wait for all legal proceedings to come out before they make a decision on the punishment, of course. So there is a chance that Deshaun Watson could play the entire season in 2022, and then the league could come down next spring and announce a suspension there. The problem is, the only problem I have with the NFL and how they're handling this, and maybe it's only because it impacts my team, is I wish there was, and this isn't just because it's the Browns and because it's impacting my quarterback, my team, all that stuff, but like, come out and be a little transparent here. Like, what are you? The league said that, Roger Goodell the other day, well, there could be a suspension looming. Either there is or there isn't. There's 22 civil cases. Like, if that's, like, let's say that 22 civil cases all just taken care of today. They come out and they say, hey, by the way, we were able to take care of all of those 22 civil suits, so we're good. The league's like, okay, 22 civil suits. Okay, that's an 8-game suspension. That's a full year suspension. That's a 10-game suspension. Like, you know what you're going to do already. So why don't you just announce it? Because it's basically handicap. And again, by the way, I don't expect anyone to feel sorry for the Browns. I don't feel sorry for the Browns, and I'm a Browns fan. They made this bed. They have to lay in it. But you have to understand, it still doesn't make it right on how intransparent the league's being. They're just not being transparent at all. They need to come out and maybe not say, we are going to suspend you X amount of games, but they do need to at least tell the team, hey, a suspension is definitely looming this coming up season once we learn more about the fallout from these civil suits. But I think that the league they're being very shady by saying, well, there could be, there could not be. What? He doesn't have to be found guilty of anything based on the history of the league, especially in recent years. Again, you look at the Zeke Elliott situation, you look at Big Ben, you look at a lot of these guys were suspended. They were never found guilty of anything. They don't have to be. So we kind of all know a suspension's looming, but by the league coming out and saying that, well, there could be, there could not be, that kind of handicaps the Browns in regards to what moves that they want to make. They still have, I saw today, which is just mind-blowing to me, even with Baker Mayfield's $18 million on the books, they still have the 5th most cap space remaining. Like, they have like $20+ million remaining. They could still get OBJ and Jarvis Landry if they wanted. They could still go out and get Jadeveon Clowney if they wanted. They can go out and get a nice big piece still to add to this roster already. Like, they're not done. But I think what they're trying to wait on, and maybe they're getting this from the free agents they're talking to, maybe OBJ and or Jarvis. Again, they could be a package deal. They could not be. But again, the other day, Stefanski, Andrew Berry, those guys said, well, they love Jarvis Landry. They would love to entertain the idea of bringing him back. The situation changed for Jarvis, OBJ, and the organization. Jarvis wanted $20 million a year, which is very ironic because it's exactly what Amari Cooper is getting. But to be fair, Amari Cooper is a better receiver than Jarvis, although Jarvis, I think, is better for the Browns from a leadership standpoint. But it is what it is. They could still get Jarvis for cheaper than what they were going to have to pay him at, I think, in about that 16, 17 mil clip. Maybe can get him for about that 10 to 12 mil now. OBJ, who knows what they can get him for? He's kicked the tires on and basically expressing interest in coming back. So the Browns can go make these moves, but those guys want to know, if I sign a 1-year deal with Cleveland, who's throwing me the ball? Is it Deshaun Watson? I'm in. Is it Baker Mayfield? Baker's like, yeah, my dad said I can't. And Jarvis is like, no, I'm good. Is it Jacoby Brissett? I think the rules still apply there. I don't think that Jarvis is coming back to Cleveland for less than what he was supposed to make to begin with to play with Jacoby Brissett. Same thing with OBJ. All right. If OBJ is going to come back to Cleveland, it's going to be to play with a guy like Deshaun Watson. And it's as simple as that, if that happens. Do I want that to happen? No. I think that OBJ was, I hate the fact that people made him to be out the victim in Cleveland. I thought that he created a lot of the mess himself. Everyone talks about all of the, Baker was the problem. Well, when Baker did throw a good ball to him, he was still dropping those. Baker overthrew him, underthrew him, didn't even see him wide open sometimes. But then when he did find him, he dropped him. So it's not like it's all on Baker. It's on OBJ as well. If he's open in those same situations that he was for Baker and Deshaun throws him the ball, will he catch those? Probably. But, anyways, it is what it is. The bottom line, I don't feel bad for Cleveland. I'm not asking you to feel bad for Cleveland, but I think you can all agree that I think that the league is being very weird here with how they're handling this, because just come out and say, yes, there will be a suspension looming. You already have, even if the civil cases are thrown out or if they're handled, that's still going to warrant a suspension. So I think that they're handicapping the Browns as far as that goes. And even if the Browns are willing to bring in a guy like OBJ again, try to get Jarvis back, those guys are hesitant too, saying, I'm willing to come to Cleveland, but only if it's Deshaun Watson's Cleveland Browns, not Baker for half the year, Jacoby Brissett for half the year, that type of thing. So we shall see. But man, can you imagine this coming up season if Deshaun is not suspended for this season and they only have $1 million on the books for their quarterback, assuming that they can move on from Baker Mayfield? Now all of a sudden it becomes interesting. Now it's interesting because now they're in a position to go get Jarvis and OBJ with Amari Cooper, with Njoku, with Schwartz, with Donovan Peoples-Jones, with the best offensive line in football, with Chubb and Hunt, with that defense. And they probably could. I heard this morning on Get Up, Cleveland realistically could get Jarvis, OBJ, and Clowney with the cap space that they have left, because they have about a little north of 20 mil left for cap space. They find a way to move on from Baker Mayfield that'll open it up even more. They're not done. They're not done. They will be financially handicapped here in about a year, 2 years. But Cleveland has to go for it all right now, and I think that that's what they're doing. If Cleveland can come out with one Super Bowl out of this, it's a win. It's a win. Their best chance to do it will be this coming up year, but keep in mind, Deshaun Watson's 26 years old. Aaron Rodgers just signed a 3 or a 5 year deal with the Packers, and he's 38. Tom Brady is 105, still playing. Like, let's stop acting like the Browns. Like I got this on Twitter today. They better win it. They better win it this year. What are you talking about? You're focused on your team. What are you worried about? The Browns better win it this year. The Browns sold out everything to get Deshaun Watson, because here's the deal too. They risked so much to get Deshaun Watson. He's 26 years old. 5 years from now, we will still be hearing about what's going on with Deshaun and these legal issues. Even if he's found not guilty and all these cases get thrown out, it will still be a black cloud that follows him the rest of his career. As a Browns fan, you guys, non-Browns fans, will constantly use it against me to discredit anything that the dude does. That's just how it goes. Big Ben, one of the best QBs of all time. Me as a Browns fan, Cowboys fan, I always found ways to discredit what he did because I thought he was a bum of a person for everything that he was involved in. I know how you guys are going to view Deshaun moving forward, and that's fine, but it's not going to change the fact that what he brings to the table on the field. And when that time comes where this is now officially behind him, the Browns easily have this guy for at least the next possibly 10, 12, 14 years. I mean, that's the reality of it. That's where we're sitting right now. The reality of it is that the Browns are in good shape to have this guy for the next 10 plus years. So all of you out there, well, if they don't get one Super Bowl out of it, so if in 3 years they don't have a Super Bowl out of it, are they failures? No. If they get one Super Bowl in the next 10 years with this dude, that's a win. You know why it's a win? Because any team, I mean, the Bengals they threw a parade for losing a Super Bowl. You guys literally threw a parade for losing a Super Bowl. At the same time that the Rams were throwing one for winning the Super Bowl, your weird fan base threw a parade for losing a Super Bowl and then made fun of the team that beat you in the Super Bowl because they had less fans at their parade than yours. I can't help you guys. Like, seriously. But the Bengals are set up, man, the same as the Browns. Once you have that quarterback, you're set up for long-term success. And the Browns are set up for long-term success. The Bengals are set up for long-term success. That's what I love. That's all that matters to me, is because I am 32 years old, so that I know going into my mid-40s, at least my mid-40s, I will get to experience the biggest rivalry of my lifetime in the NFL from my interest standpoint, the Browns and the Bengals. If the Browns and Bengals are bad at the same time for some years, you know what? It's still going to be Deshaun versus Joe Burrow. That's a win. That's a win. Bengals fans, you win in this too, because you're going to experience the fun of this rivalry. We've already experienced it, the back and forth. Like, you know, I have friends that when they find out what I do and they'll tune in from time to time, they're like, man, how do you like this job? I mean, all they do is just pile on you. I'm like, but I started. I pile on them first. I welcome it. I welcome it because I love this. If these two teams were just garbage the way that they were for the majority of my lifetime, this wouldn't be as fun. But the Browns being good, the Bengals being good, Deshaun Watson, Joe Burrow for the next 10 years, Sign me up. Deshaun Watson might be a horrible human being. No pun intended, but the jury's still out. So, like, we don't know what's going on here, okay? I'm not dismissing any of that stuff, but the bottom line is that the Browns are going to have to answer for a lot of the decisions that they've made. They've delivered some of those answers. Some people haven't found them good enough. We'll find out. But this idea that the Browns have to win a Super Bowl this year, next year, the year after for this to be a success, no, because you want to know what? They gave up the first round picks, the draft picks that they gave up are for just the next 2 years. And I think another year, I think 24. So maybe the next 3, but it's not all of their draft picks. So they're not going to have any first or seconds, I believe, until 2025. That's fine. They're going to have Deshaun Watson all the way through they're going to keep going with this. I mean, he's their guy for long term. Same thing with Joe Burrow. Now, are they contracted with their teams long term? No. But the Browns have already proven they're dumb enough to pay him. He might just be dumb enough to stay. And Joe Burrow, we'll find out if the Bengals are smart enough to pay him. And I say that the Browns are dumb for paying Deshaun Watson all guaranteed because of the uncertainty. If the Bengals come out, so the Browns did $230 all guaranteed for Deshaun Watson. When it comes time for Joe Burrow's contract, when the Bengals give him $250 all guaranteed, I'll applaud it. It won't be dumb. It won't be dumb. And for those of you saying, well, yeah, because the Browns ruined the market. If it wasn't the Browns, it was going to be somebody else. This idea that Cleveland just ruined the landscape of the NFL, you guys are dumb. That's the dumbest take you can have. And this is coming from a guy that makes a living making really dumb takes. If you are dumb enough to think that the Browns ruin the landscape of the NFL when it comes to contracts, I don't know what to tell you, because someone was going to do it. 10 years ago, if you would have found out, I remember when Aaron Rodgers signed his first extension about 6 years ago. He was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL at that point. Everyone said, I can't believe that they gave him $35 million. $35 million, that just totally flips this upside down. And then Joe Flacco got $35.5 million a year. And then he became the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. That's right, Joe Flacco. Back in the years and years ago, after the Ravens beat the Niners in the Super Bowl, for a very short amount of time, Joe Flacco became the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. Everyone lost their mind at $35.5 million. So people back then thought, oh man, the Ravens they gave him $35.5. That totally ruins it for all the teams that have their own average quarterback. Now they have to pay their average quarterback $35.5. If you get a quarterback for $35 million in today's league, that's a win. So if the fact that the Browns have their quarterback for $46 million a year, probably in the next 5 years, we're going to be looking at Deshaun Watson's $46 million a year as a steal, because that's just how this works. I don't know. You would have to think, though, at some point, there will be a cap eventually. Like, there will be a stoppage. Like, it just can't keep going on forever and ever, right? Like, it's $35 million a year used to just seem insanely high. Now it's a bargain. Now $46 million, everyone's losing their mind. I can't believe that they gave him that much. That is so insane. In the next 5 years, it'll probably be $55 million. And in 15 years, it could be $75 million. Eventually, it has to stop, right? Until then, doesn't matter. Stop blaming the Browns for taking a risk. You have to take a risk to win in this league. Bottom line. Last thing on this situation here. Actually, you know what? We'll take a step away for a few moments. 518-1410, by the way. The Baltimore Ravens have a huge issue with what the Cleveland Browns did with Deshaun Watson. And I am here to tell you that the Baltimore Ravens are actually happy about what the Browns did with Deshaun Watson. No pun intended here, but I think that the Baltimore Ravens are looking at the Cleveland Browns and saying that's our get-out-of-jail-free card with how to handle Lamar Jackson. I'll tell you why next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
At Attention! Junk Cars Are Us. Junk Cars Are Us is paying top dollar right now. Serving Dayton, Columbus, Middletown, Springfield, Urbana, Richmond, Sydney, and all surrounding areas. Paying top dollar. Call 937-542-1686. That's 937-542-1686. Do not delay. Paying top dollar. Call today. 937-542-1686. Junk Cars Are Us. 937-542-1686.
You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, but when we just come out and say it, it feels like it falls a bit flat. So we're going to use humor. But we don't want to insult your intelligence, so nothing too goofy. And we need to avoid any polarizing topics. Oh, and it has to be about how you can save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. You know what? Maybe humor is a bad idea. Yeah, it's never going to work. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discount not available in all states or situations.
You're the one everyone looks to for answers. Come rain or shine, the job must get done. And you're the one who makes it happen. We get you, Jackie in Fresno, putting your employee safety first. And Maddie in Chattanooga, whose local Granger team knows him by name. We're here for you and all the ones who get it done with 24/7 customer support and access to product specialists to help you find what you need. Call, click Granger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
It's the little moments that have the biggest impact. Every time you mentor a child or donate your time or money, you empower their future. You can help make a difference and be a hero in the eyes of a child, one simple act of encouragement at a time. Positive childhoods lead to promising futures. Help prevent child abuse and neglect in your community. Learn more at octf.ohio.gov.
Beyond Vision is a tactile art experience for the blind and visually impaired coming to downtown Dayton this spring at the Landing event space at the 804. All multisensory artists are encouraged to submit their work for consideration to help raise awareness for the visually impaired community. Beyond Vision is bringing accessible art to Dayton. Come be a part of the experience. For more information or to submit your art, visit beyondvisionart.com. That's beyondvisionart.com.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. The education assistance I received made it possible for me to be the first person in my family to go to school and graduate debt-free. That education helped get me to the first day at my dream job, a job that I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job, plus the other benefits possible from the Army National Guard, helped me become a first-time homeowner. Also, part of my role as a National Guard soldier means I know that I can be one of the first to respond and help my community if disaster ever strikes. I'm extremely proud that I get to serve my community, and that first step I took by joining the Army National Guard has made all the difference in my life. Talk to your local recruiter or visit nationalguard.com to find out what firsts are available to you in the Army National Guard.
Sponsored by the Ohio Army National Guard, aired by the Ohio Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. So you need to change your oil. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of Valvoline Daily Protection or Valvoline Max Life High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP oil filter, plus an STP air filter or cabin air filter for just $36.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hey, you see Tony's face?
Yeah, he's using one of them Dollar Shave Club 6-blade razors with 6 stainless steel blades for a close shave. His face is as smooth as a river rock.
Smooth as a nice olive oil.
Like a bowling ball.
Like silk pajamas.
Like a seal down at the aquarium.
Like a ball of wax.
Wax job?
Hey, no one said nothing about a wax job, okay? Quit being a wise guy.
Dollar Shave Club.
for a noticeably smooth shave. Find us in stores and at dollarshaveclub.com.
Whether you're in business or in school, Staples has your tech.
How about wireless headphones so I'm not tied to my desk?
Staples has your tech.
A tablet for when I travel by train?
The latest laptop for a soon-to-be summa cum laude?
Staples offers tech solutions and accessories for learners, small business, and remote workers too. From the latest laptops to networking solutions. And now, Apple AirPods Pro are just $199. You save $50. The latest tech solutions are at Staples, the working and learning store. Ends 4/2. Limit 2 while supplies last.
Ray Magliozzi here. eBay Motors has the right parts at the right prices. 122 million of them. And if there's one thing I love, it's great parts and great prices. eBay Motors, let's ride.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
And we are back. I'm Justin Kinner hanging out with you here on a Wednesday, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. Excited to be hanging out with you here on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. In fact, like I said, I always enjoy hanging out with all of you each and every day, but I've never been more excited for a Reds game in my life than Reds spring training action coming up here. We'll hand it off at 3:50, 4:05 the first pitch. Coverage at 3:50 begins, but Reds spring training action coming up again, heading to the final couple days of spring training. In fact, a week from tomorrow, is when we will officially get to opening day, April 7th. The Reds will open up on the road to start a 4-game road series against the Atlanta Braves. They will make it home for their home opener on April 12th as they welcome in the Cleveland Guardians. Wow, that sounds weird. They welcome in the Cleveland Guardians for their home opener, little mini 2-game series before hitting the road again to take on the Dodgers. The problem for the Reds, April's always been a very tough month for them, and it's going to be even tougher now. Again, not really set up for long-term, not set up for long-term, but they're not really set up to win a lot of games as they're trying to figure out who these young players are. But they also struggle on the West Coast. And they have 4 with the Dodgers, 3 with San Diego before coming back home, where they'll have 3 with the Cardinals and then 3 with the Dodgers, and then they head out back west again for Colorado. So it's going to be tough. So, yes, Mark Smith saying always working half days now, I guess. It's just during Red spring training. Oh, wow. That was like the weirdest sound ever as I was like choking there. I apologize. I'll return to our normal schedule starting next week, of course. So there's that. But my apologies. Yes. Want to give a shout out again to Centerville Elks star junior basketball player, again, Gabe Cupps, named the Ohio Mr. Basketball. That was made official earlier this afternoon. Averaged about 14 points per game, just under 7 assists, 2.5 rebounds a game, 2 steals this season. Of course, he was one of many talented players that led the way in the Elks' 45 straight wins that included a state championship and ended with the state runner-up at UD Arena just about not this past weekend, but the weekend before at UD Arena. What a run that he has been a part of, and he's not done yet, but as a junior has been named Mr. Basketball for the state of Ohio. So I think that's pretty exciting. So shout out to him again. Gabe Cupps is an Indiana Hoosiers commit for this 2023 season. So there's that. But Holtman, that means you still have time to figure out a way to keep these Ohio recruits, these Ohio kids from going out of state, especially a guy. I mean, thing with Gabe Cupps, like if he's Mr. Basketball and he's going to an A10 school, and that's Dayton, I don't consider, I mean, they're an A10 school, but they're building for something bigger than the A10. So I wouldn't blame him for going to Dayton. But if he's going to go play for just an A10 school or a MAC school or something and Ohio State can't get him, okay, that's one thing, because they could say, well, look, there were smaller schools going after him. But you can't lose him to Indiana, a Big Ten team. You just can't do that. I can't get on board with that. Are you looking for independent living? It's time to experience the Brookhaven difference. Brookhaven is 116 acres of beautiful, peaceful country living. Everything you need is right there, and you don't have to put down a big deposit like most independent living facilities. 3 meals a day in the restaurant-style dining room is included in your rent. Call 937-833-4006 to schedule a tour. One more time, that's 937-833-4006. Appreciate Brookhaven. All right. We only have a few more minutes before we close this out, but how about this? The Ravens owner Steve Biscotti, if I'm saying his name wrong, my apologies, but he was not happy about the Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed contract. He says that I don't know that he should have been the first guy to get a fully guaranteed contract. To me, that is something that is groundbreaking, and it'll make negotiations harder with others. Here's why I have a problem with what he said. For one, it bite me, okay? Because don't act like, he is against the fact that it was Deshaun Watson who got this, basically making it sound like he's not a person that's deserving of this. And maybe a lot of you agree. But stop trying to do the holier than thou approach where you say things like, oh, well, he doesn't deserve that. He shouldn't get that. This is why the Ravens owner is frustrated. Why isn't the Ravens organization getting bashed for not having a deal done with their MVP quarterback, Lamar Jackson, who apparently is the Michael Jordan of the NFL? I can name 5 quarterbacks right off the bat that I would take over Lamar Jackson and not even feel bad about it. But, everyone I have no clue what it is, but if you criticize Lamar Jackson, people pile on you. But then when you ask people, well, why haven't they got a deal done yet? Well, they're trying to work it out, be patient. Really? Because we rip organizations all the time for not getting a deal done ahead of time. I think what it is that the Ravens are kicking themselves because what they don't want to do, they didn't want to pay Lamar what the market price was before this deal. Now it's almost making it impossible. They cannot stomach paying Lamar Jackson $46 million a year for a guy that is as average a passer as Baker Mayfield. Sure, he is lights out with his legs, but you know what? It's not about that. You have to be able to pass the football. You're a quarterback, and he could pass the football, but he can't pass it at the clip of a guy that's making $46 million a year. So I think that the Ravens are putting this out there to save face with their fan base because they have had plenty of time to get a deal done with Lamar Jackson. Plenty of time. And they haven't got it done yet. That's on them. And now they're trying to blame the Browns, I think, for why they don't get a deal done to save face with their fans if that time comes. Folks, have a great rest of your evening. Enjoy the beautiful weather. I'm going to golf. That's what I'm doing. I can't wait to listen to Reds on the radio on 1410 ESPN Radio while I'm out on the golf course. But everyone, enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And I appreciate everyone who tuned in and hung out with us on a shortened show. We'll be back at it, a full show tomorrow, full 3 hours. We have a great guest lineup for you again. Bree Hall, former Wayne Warrior, now a part of South Carolina's Final Four team. They'll be in action on Friday. We'll talk with Bree. I can't wait to catch up with her. And then, of course, we'll also hear from the new women's basketball coach for the Dayton Flyers, Tamika Williams-Jeter, again, a local great, and then played at UConn, 2-time national champion, WNBA star. We'll get to all of that. Now the head coach of the Dayton Flyers women's team. I'm excited to talk with Coach Williams-Jeter on tomorrow's show. Have a great afternoon. We'll do it again tomorrow.